Hi, I'm Doyle Bishop with Tulsa Heaters Midstream, and on this channel you can expect to hear all things about process heating, and sometimes the topics are not technical, but a lot of times they are technical. Thanks for joining in. Today I want to talk to you about radiation, not like in uranium type radiation, but as in heat radiation and heat radiation on tubes, because we're heating with fire that produces radiation, and we're heating a tube that contains a fluid that we want to heat. Sounds pretty simple, can be pretty complicated. So let's just talk a little bit about the basics. So I've got a fire like this, and let's say it's going that way, which is created by a burner, obviously. And then I've got tubes, and let's say these tubes are giant hoops like this that encircle this fire, okay? So think of a helix that rotates around. That's called a helical coil, and it's a pretty common method of heating fluid in a pipe is to do a helical coil. And in midstream segment, most heaters have helical coils. This is called the radiant section of the heater for obvious reasons, maybe not so obvious, that radiation from the flame goes into the tube. Obviously in this tube, I'm going to draw these little circles here to show that we've cut it away. In these tubes, there's fluid that's flowing around, and I'm just going to kind of draw it like that, right? Because it's a giant hoop around this flame. So there's fluid in there, and I'm transmitting heat to that. And then behind this is a refractory line box, or radiant box, okay? This is refractory, and then there's metal plate, steel plate on the outside of that, okay? Refractory plate. This is refractory. These are tubes. Okay, so radiation from the flame into the tubes looks pretty simple, doesn't it? Well, I remember the first time that I looked into a heater and I thought, why are the tubes spaced apart? Why is there spacing from this tube to this tube? Why is there a space there? Why not just make them, I'll just draw it over here where they touch, and then have radiation into this? Why not do that? It seems to make more sense, but it's a little bit counterintuitive, because if I put all the radiation coming from this direction and I put the tubes together, I can't get radiation on the backside of that tube. I can't get there. So if I space it, what happens? Well, think about this. Radiation comes off of here, bounces off of this refractory, and then gets to the backside of the tube. This is how you get even heat distribution around the whole circumference of this tube, is by having tube spacing. Thanks for joining. If you enjoyed this episode, then like or subscribe to get more information about process heating and Tulsa Heaters Midstream.